So what's the idea for Bolt, and what's the from idea to execution to getting it unicorn status?
Yeah, so I started this. I was lucky to get into Stanford, grew up in Miami. I'll go through this a little background. Started Stanford Bitcoin Group in 2013. There were 8 of us on campus.
A Bitcoin like investing group?
No, it was just like students doing research and projects around Bitcoin. We were writing papers. We had some professors. We'd get credits for researching Bitcoin. And super cool. Most of the campus didn't know what Bitcoin was. There were 8 of us in it. A couple years after, it was hundreds and hundreds of kids. But we were the first ones to really popularize Bitcoin on campus. And I dropped out of school to start something that looked kind of like a Coinbase, like make it easy to buy and sell and all of that. And I actually went around the country pitching banks on why they should work with us, because we need a bank to work with us. And so did that for about a year. We lost a couple banking bids to Coinbase because they had the bigger VCs. They felt more trusted with them. So I'm like, this is going to take me too long to get banks behind me. And so like I kind of really have always wanted to build a better PayPal. Like if I do this, I can integrate crypto with it later. And so I had this idea of PayPal 2.0. I'd started some e-commerce sites in middle school. And I'm like, the checkout is really bad. And so I was like, why don't we make a better version of this? And I could talk more about how Bolt works, but that's was the inspiration.
Where did you, because this is early. I know now everybody, Bitcoin, I mean, if you don't know what it is, it's like, where have you been? But in 2013, it wasn't very commonly known. I kind of was introduced to it because of the music scene. And it was like, that was a way to get music from sites that, you know, it's almost like illegal to get music. So you had to have a different form of payment. How did you get introduced to it and then now bring it to Stanford to say, this is something that's going to take over the future?
Yeah, there was this professor, his name was Balaji Srinivasan, who's kind of infamous in Silicon Valley. And so he was teaching this startup engineering class. So I'm very lucky.
He's the one that like always, he teaches classes and then the kids that in his class pitch and then he invests in the kids' ideas.
Yeah, he like in the class you work on different projects and hackathons. He might invest, he might not. I wasn't centered around him investing, but I got very lucky, right place, right time. I was very blessed to get into a great school. And then there was about 8 of us who would do these hackathons. He'd have twice a week hackathons because Balaji loved like, you know, young hackers building his crazy ideas. So he'd go and we'd build his things. And there were about 8 of us who were consistently there till like 5 or 6 in the morning. And you know, everyone else went to bed. And so we just started talking and we get a lot of time with him. And then eventually the 8 of us were like, we should just form an official club on campus. And this should be around Bitcoin. So we started Stanford Bitcoin Group. We got it blessed by the university. We ended up getting like 5 credits a quarter for doing research papers on it. So we got out of some classes and just was able to focus on Bitcoin. And eventually I was like, this is all I want to focus on. And then I ended up doing the stereotypical dropout, Stanford dropout. So I'm the stereotype to a T.
So when you start in a company, you have to raise money, you have to like get some help. Like what's the process of actually starting the company of, you know, from idea to actually getting it up and running?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to start a company. For me, I had like a first attempt at starting a company and it ended up complete disaster. I had 2 other co-founders. One was a close friend. One was like this billionaire who got interested in what we were doing. Had all this money lined up because of this person's name. That person ended up pulling out for reasons I never was able to uncover. My other co-founders like, this is hopeless. I had already dropped out of school, so now I had no money. I had no co-founders, but I'm dropped out. And so now I look at them like that was such a blessing because they weren't the right people to do the business with. But at the time, I was like, man, I'm super screwed. I just dropped out of school, got no money, can't pay for rent. I mean, I don't have investors. So, I built an MVP of an app over several months, built it myself. I then had enough momentum. I got some users on the app. It was a crypto app, kind of like a Coinbase, where some investors, took notice. I was pitching tons of investors. I got a lot of no's, and then I refigured out how to pitch. And so I got better. I could talk for 5 hours on fundraising strategy, but I started to get some investors on board. Then you start to hire engineers that are better than you. And then, you start to get customers. We went through some pivots. It was really messy. It's just extreme perseverance. Sometimes the funding comes first. Sometimes the talent comes first. Sometimes the customers come first. Both early days were not pretty at all. I mean, it was trying a lot of different things.
So are these things all self-taught, right? Because I'm thinking this is this young man, North Miami, who's coding in 8th grade, which is just like incredible. But most times there's a difference, right? There's a difference between being the CEO of a company and being an engineer or a coder, and then somebody who actually raised money for that company, right? That pitches. So how are you learning those skills? How are you developing them outside of just saying, they told me no, all right, I can't do that? Like what was the strategies when you were early on trying to get this money from people?
Yeah, well, the first thing is I got started young in terms of being able to talk to business people. I started building websites, doing online marketing, found some customers in Miami, was doing this in high school. So by the time I got to college, I had some business experience, not in tech, but, I had some experience. When I started raising money, I was doing everything wrong. And like one of the first rules that I say in my book, Fundraising, is don't say you're fundraising. Because the second you say that you're fundraising, you're on the clock, meaning people are going to be like, all right, well, his round should blow up and be over soon because if this is a hot company, I'm going to have a limited window. So if in 2 weeks your round isn't done, people are going to be like, why aren't others investing? And so they're going to walk away. And if you build up a bunch of no's around your company, people are not investing, then that's, the network becomes aware that all these people didn't invest and you're kind of screwed. Mm-hmm. So, one of the first lessons that I learned from a great mentor of mine, his name is Michael Carter. He has this company, Playco, very successful gaming company. He was giving some talks on fundraising and he taught me this concept, just don't say you're fundraising. Just go build relationships first. Go and meet investors and get them excited about who you are as a person and casually get them excited about your idea. Mm-hmm. Instead of going and saying, I'm pitching you, which automatically puts them on a pedestal versus you, right? You're not peers anymore. Now they're on a pedestal. And so it sets the dynamics incorrectly from the beginning. You're not building a relationship and you can get this domino effect of no's, which could really screw you before you even begin. So I did that in the beginning. I learned from those mistakes. I had some great mentors who helped me reshape my fundraising strategy.